North America, where we are yet to find out, you know, if Gale Force can keep that consistency and aggression that they displayed in games number 1 and 2 all the way to game 3, because Gale Force is a team that normally doesn't win clean 3-0s, and No Tomorrow surely is not a team that gives up 0-3 quickly. So this seems like, you know, if there is that kind of moment, this has got to be the place, Jay Hal.
Yeah, but to the point you just made, No Tomorrow, I think that they are kind of near the bottom in terms of overall games won. So they obviously have 2 series victories, which is one more than LFM, and they're not far behind. Obviously, when we look at the bottom tier, you got to acknowledge some of these things. So it's like when they get down, they don't necessarily come back. But if they're going to do it, Gale Force has to be a team that you look at it as the potential that you can do that on. But Gale Force, as you said, if they can start to, last week they missed out on a huge opportunity against Heroes Hearth. Imagine if they finish that series, and they come out and finish this one, all of a sudden we're talking about Gale Force being a 4th, 5th place team that's much more competitive. And I think even despite their loss in the Heroes Hearth series, are still a viable team, I think, to be reckoned with.
Yeah, and they're really kind of displaying that here today. But we're going to be figuring out after that last game, what is the choice of map here for No Tomorrow. No Tomorrow is going to send us over to Towers of Doom, but that does mean that this is the, you know, kind of adjustment and idea there between the first pick versus the map pick, forfeiting over that first pick and willing to go with the map selection. Not that crazy, a little bit uncommon, becoming more popular as things are kind of moving through HGC and the formation in early in 2017. But the biggest thing I feel like to be talking about here has got to be the MyF, right? Is because what that does ban draft-wise is going to force that ban, or otherwise you give it up as a first pick. There is no kind of option whatsoever if that is the thing that they're going to look toward to mix up, because in games 1 and 2, we talked about it, what, 39-8 in kills is the kill count between these teams?
It's pretty substantial in terms of the overall kill count for Gale Force. And they also have a substantial number. They have 7 games played on Towers of Doom thus far, which means that they've played it every single week up until this point. So for them, no stranger to this battleground. They are 3 and 4, however, currently dropping to Tempo in one of those, Freedom on the other, and Team 12, so it's not like they're
losing to shabby teams. Yeah, the best in North America, probably expected losses, you know, outside of this map in particular. There it is. Medivh banned out, forcing the ban onto the Maiev if that is the mix-up. Otherwise, Gale Force, you know their first pick.
Really curious to see if Maiev is banned, if Gale Force is willing to go down the Malfurion route, if they feel that Malfurion is still that strong, which, you know, you could argue that he's easily worth a first pick, but maybe they have something else in mind in terms of what they want to do. I mean, maybe they'll go down the Genji route. I think with Biggie there, no, they instantly lock in the Malfurion.
Like this that we see here from Gale Force, sticking to a bit more of the norm. Earlier in the series the first series we had today, we saw, you know, some flexibility within the perception of how good is Stukov compared to the Malfurion. They're going to still stick with the Malfurion, and, you know, he did get like slight amount of nerfs to his 16 and his level 1, but it was 1% on the level 1, and then, I mean, 2 seconds, I think, on the 16. Not enough for me to feel like, oh, there's a huge blowback. It's more of a toning down than it is ooh, Malfurion's out of the meta, so I like we see that threat still there. Genji Garrosh is the choice, though, here for No Tomorrow. I mean, automatically got to be wondering, okay, well, what support are you going to be looking to get with that? Now committing to some more in this rotation. Stukov kind of awkward with the Genji. Do we see maybe a Rhaegar later down the road for them?
The Tomster hero pool, if they don't go Stukov, is always a point of interest because he likes to be a playmaker. Of all supports in North America, he has the highest kill participation. He's a very active support, sometimes overactive. I think sometimes it could just be a product of the environment, but he is a very active support, and he likes to be on heroes that could be that way. Lucio, a fallback option, maybe even go down an Uther route now that you have the Genji. We'll see exactly what route he goes down and how active he ends up becoming in this game.
Gale Force Esports. With the Malfurion picked up, I'd assume we get ourselves a Tyrael in what? The Tyke is still? This is, I mean, almost identical to what we saw from them, right? I think in draft number 1, I'll be honest.
It was Maiev, Mouth, Tyka. So
yeah.
The Maiev taken away, you replace that with a Tyrael. So very, very similar.
Yeah, following the same kind of path there.
The Tychus, obviously, the percentage-based damage going against Garrosh will work well. Malthael does that as well. Malthael being B-Kid's most played hero, won't be able to pick that up here. So I want to see, if we see Equinox on Sonya again, will Gale Force be willing to just fall into a Dahaka and maybe play around the global side of things, or maybe they have another melee that they want to pick up there for. Although we did see B-Kid on Tyrael last game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not out of the question yet that might be him again.
Yeah. Get that Judgment flying in onto the back line again.
And then get a Michael Udall fall stat. You know, we saw Crispy Taco in Dorm last night. I don't know if you saw that.
I watched a bit of Dorm, but I didn't see the Crispy Taco.
Yeah, it made it on Reddit and everything. And I remember, I think it was during Gilly and Haloran while they were cast. I can't remember. I just remember watching it as BOE, and you're just like, all right, that happened, and it blew people up.
Got to get that kind of shotgun there. Also, on the note of the high Tychus, since this is the second time we've seen a third picked on the side of Gale Force in the first pick slot, at both times it's been responsive to that Garrosh. I really like the Tychus adjustment versus the Malthael whenever you see that Garrosh. Again, because the lack of information, lack of committing, he can fit in every composition, whereas Malthael, very limited, plays to a very specific play style. So, you know, in the past when Garrosh rose in priority, we saw everybody go, okay, Malthael's the answer. I like that we see GFE with the mix-up of the Tychus. It's not that much higher, right? It's literally just one rotation higher, but I think it makes a pretty big difference in terms of viability of pick order and ban order, especially in the second ban slot. Somebody's got to prep this Genji. Who is it? Somebody
I'm
needs to set him
afraid it's going
up.
to be a Jaina.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I like the Jaina here.
I can say I definitely am not that big of a fan into a Tyrael and Tychus. Hanzo is going to be able to prep things, and Dahaka for no tomorrow.
I think that's trying to deny that. I don't know if that's something where I expected no tomorrow to just go into a Dahaka. Especially if that ends up being Equinox instead of him being on the Garrosh. Maybe we'll see a little bit of a change up. But yeah, if Equinox is on Dahaka, you know, a big change in terms of the mentality of the team. So Gale Force here, they've already got one backliner. Tyrael, we don't know if that's going to be Fury or B-Kid, although Tyrael generally is the Fury hero.
I can say I'm a huge fan of Fury on the Tyrael. Probably, I'd put it in, I don't know if I want to say the best in NA, because I think that's not giving enough credit to some of our, you know, less common Tyrael players, but I definitely put him as one of the best, without a doubt, for NA.
On my notes, ETC and Tyrael, two of his best, and when it comes to least deaths and most effective, Tyrael has been it when the numbers show it.
He's one of the few that I feel like Eldruins and mainly Sanctifications are always getting something somewhere with a lot of the plays. Diablo and Sonya.
That means we got ourselves a Udall Sonya. I'm pretty sure Udall flexes over to Sonya in this instance. And that is a really, really heavy dive composition.
I'm going to hit you with a little bit of a kind of mix up here.
Okay.
Lightning Breath. How do we feel? Okay, so mobility has gotten better and better and better, so Lightning Breath has gotten worse and worse and worse because the responsiveness
but they upgraded the rotation speed.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, I can still barely move my, you know, hit the targets I want to. But anytime you see Diablo Tyrael together, it's one of the more prone to seeing, you know, kind of the Lightning Breath. And mainly with the Sonya pickup, you can argue, oh, okay, Apoc's going to slow them down, make Sonya do more damage. But you do go, hey, you might be lacking a little bit in damage with this composition. Do you want to make up for that anywhere? And I look at the other side, and there's nothing that makes me go, like, I'm too afraid of it, especially if you flip a Garrosh, you know, kind of over the other side, and you just go, thanks for the free Lightning Breath, question mark, you know, posturing-wise, makes it a lot more difficult.
Okay, I'm going to go way out in left field.
All right.
Right field.
I mean, it really doesn't matter. You know, you could
we're going way out in the outfield on a major league field because it's really far out there, not a little league field, not as far.
I didn't know. I've never played T-ball.
Rhaegar, no self-cleanse, no self-ancestral. We saw Judgment last game, and I know that we don't see as much of it. We actually saw a leap in Dorm last night. Any possibility, you just go full on, you charge in with Diablo, you get the big stun from that. You get Sonya leap, and you get a Judgment. And what does Rhaegar do at that point? What does anybody do?
He goes to the back because he's dead. He's a dead puppy. God, that is way too much
what
damage.
a morbid story.
I mean, you're the one who painted it, man. I'm just hitting you with the morbid reality. My goodness there.
Well, is that...
No, your answer is he's just going to die, and it might be a mix-up that we see. I will say, if we see Judgment, here's one thing I definitely need to highlight. If we see Judgment, there will not be a Lightning Breath. Those two do not go together, right? If you go Judgment, then you go with the APOC. But there is a world where you might get that Lightning Breath with the Sanctification. It's just one of the great ways to be able to make up for that DPS. I will say I have always been waiting for the day that North America goes, you know what, we're just going to leap then. If you're going to keep picking this, you know, vulnerable backline over and over again with a non-burst healer, we're going to make that transition. And it has happened an entirety of 0 times, J-How. So I'm going to stick here and I'm going to say probably not, but I wouldn't mind it.
You had your hand up and I'm expecting a number to show up and then you just signaled 0 to me and I'm like, wait a minute.
Egg right there, baby. Okay, let's talk about some of the trade-offs here in this game between going for that leap kind of all in if you're going to. Garrosh, he's going to live, and he's not going to care whatsoever about your leap. He's like, okay, thank you. Even got a counter initiation if you don't get the kill onto the proper target. Beyond that point, you're going to have Rhaegar is going to be very vulnerable. Hanzo, pretty good reaction time and response time, but he is pretty susceptible to this dive himself. Genji, I'm just going to put it as unreliable because you can also get switch struck right into the literally worst place in the world too. Genji is a really risky target to go for. And Dahaka should be pretty effective on his own. So really it's Hanzo and Rhaegar, or excuse me, yeah, Hanzo and Rhaegar are the kill targets. Normally I would go 3 out of 5 is a flat yes. 2 out of 5 I go, ooh, you might want to play the safe route.
I hyped up No Tomorrow's draft in game number 1, you know, questionable in game number 2. I feel like if I'm going to hype up Gale Force's draft, I'm just going to jinx the whole thing. And then No Tomorrow will come out and give us a series, and it'll go to game 4.
I mean, that's the classic story. That's what I expected from these teams, to be honest. Just not as dominant of an opening there from Gale Force. Talking about dominant openings, No Tomorrow's going to get the invade here.
See if Dahaka. Yeah, Dahaka comes down and brush stalkers in. Dodges the tongue, but he ends up getting hit. That's going to interrupt the whirlwind as he gets flipped in. That's going to be kill number 1, but Fury, he's going to trade off there as he gets the shadow charge into the wall, but I don't know if he's going to make it out. Akafe's doing everything he can to land the Moonfires, but Casanova is going to confirm the kill. And on the other side, Equinox goes in. It is a bloodbath.
And that is 4 for 2. No Tomorrow. Getting the invade, getting the sapper, like punishment there. They're going to get value out of it on bottom. Even maybe go steal that camp away with Jay Shrite here, scattering arrow build. Yep, there it is. Move right up for themselves, claim this over. And now Gale Force has got to find a way to hold off this game because this is a big opener. A double sapper, invade, and that much kills early game. I mean, I don't want to say it's the exact same of what we saw at the other first 2 games, you know, on the other side of the table, but it's pretty close.
I mean, once this turret goes down, you're going to see a big jump in experience. We've already got pretty much a full level lead. They're trying to hold it off there. They really need to focus the minions because then the sappers prioritize the hero, so they don't get any damage at all. But so far, so good for No Tomorrow. You know, Genji for Casanova has been one of his best heroes. That and Greymane. He averages 3.8 kills per game, which means that he is very, very effective on that hero. We'll see if he can keep it up as he helped to contribute to a couple there in the early part, as he actually got 3 in that engagement, Dread.
Mikey Dahl looking to start this channel as Malfurion shows himself on bottom. Casanova then moves up. Tyrael is going to delay Dahaka. Invade here. Casanova needs to switch strike away. Will do so. Going to be met with a B-Kid. Nice interrupt there from Jin. Even going to toss him back. B-Kid out too far. Comes at the cost of his life. Shots when it's all said and done, though. Advantage over to Gale Force. Man, that was such an interesting how that all played out. Like, from beginning to end, not only Gale Force getting the free Malfurion pickup on bottom, the Sonya versus Diablo initiation, then with the Tyrael delay behind the members of No Tomorrow, that was kind of wonky.
Well, I saw the ping for help on the right bush there, and I kind of wondered if that was Equinox pinging it on Dahaka like, hey, I'm coming in here, but then he got interrupted, and so it kind of threw off the dynamics of that fight. Fury, instead of getting Groundbreaker, he ends up diving back in, which means he doesn't have a way out. And speaking of a way out, Biggie, he's trying to get out of there alive as he took quite a bit of damage on his way back to safety.
One of those moments of, you know, using that shadow charge and sacrificing your HP just to get the bad guy away from those squishy backliners. Big impact. Thankful of the contributions of Fury there over that team fight. Sapper is up here for no tomorrow. It's going to be invaded by Gale Force as they have enough pressure on mid. Sonya has to make the rotation down, though, if they're going to fully invade. Even have Tyrael anchoring over mid to try and act like they aren't doing this.
Yeah, that's a little bit of sleight of hand action almost. Yeah. The stomp there that you get from Diablo goes so far that it kind of snuck out from on the other side of the wall, but no tomorrow, unable to sniff it out. Now we see a little bit of a trade-off. We saw Gale Force lose their Sapper camp earlier, no tomorrow. Gale Force just returning the favor.
Well, tomorrow's upset about it. They're like, hey, we want to take your Sappers if you're going to be a bully like that. 8 seconds out from that altar rotation. Casanova. Oh, this is a huge cutoff. B-Kid's in a bad spot. Has the Eldruin if necessary. Channel for Malfurion on bottom gets interrupted by Rhaegar. Good play there from No Tomorrow, but they're so split. Jhin seems to be the focus. Even Casanova has to get out. Flips over Fury. Fury shadow charges back into the Malfruit. Equinox gets the drag. Enough damage there onto Diablo. First kill of this fight going to No Tomorrow. Can they get more?
This big time play there. Casanova going in. You see the flip back onto Udall. He's going to spin to win as he keeps himself alive for the moment. Gets the big spear over onto Casanova. Going to buy himself a little bit of time, but without Diablo here, I think Gale Force is just going to have to concede to this. And, you know, they're also going to have to start considering the experience. Obviously, we just finished this altar phase, but Gale Force, they do find themselves about 3/4 of a level behind right now, but not too far behind in the long scheme of things.
If you'll notice, these early skirmishes, I mean, are pretty significantly kind of weighted towards No Tomorrow's favor. And I would argue a lot of that comes down to the double warrior mixed with having the Sonya melee and only Tychus. Tychus is probably one of the worst backliners to have in this type of situation, only because he's really good at getting one kill target onto one person. And unless Sonya's the person making sure they end up getting that initial kill, very few are going to make that happen, especially into a Rhaegar. He's one of the best at dealing with that immediate all-in onto one target. And because it's that easy to be able to deal with, and you know, it kind of makes these fights unfold very awkwardly for Gale Force. I feel like for me, this is only more indication that I would like to see a mix-up with Heroics in some way. I still think I'm on the Lightning Breath hype train out of the two, if they're going to see one way or the other versus the Judgment Leap. But some way to get an all-in force or get a different damage source for Gale Force, I think is going to be necessary. And the laning just show it greatly.
I think you made an incredible point there when you talk about the Rhaegar and the counter side with Taika. So we'll see how that plays out right now. Gale Force, they're going to have to hold on here. We're holding on to Leap. Instead, it is going to be Wrath of the Berserker. No crazy heroics this game.
0 times, J-How. I told you. It's never have we seen the mix-up.
We'll see. I mean, they've got to get that blow-up off of the APOC initiation. I mean, that's kind of where it all comes down. Odin obviously does quite a bit in terms of a bit more AoE damage as well as single-target focus, but that is not kind of that instant blow-up. Gets the toss over, but Fury there to lend a hand again. Tranquility is out. X-Strike going to go down, and that is going to be Biggie getting blown up, and they're trying to isolate Equinox. The Essence is going to be enough as isolation is going to be used back onto Akaface. They just walk away from this, but B-Kid, he's not.
Huge shout out to Jay Shrite there for using the passive, making sure he gets to the interrupt onto Sonya. For a moment, communication. Okay, so that fight happens. Tychus, he gets mounted, you know, the mount up by Garrosh all the way up there, gets the toss away. It's pretty much a dead Tychus 100%, especially when Sanctification didn't happen, at least within the reasonable time frame. Sanctification did end up coming in, and there was no way Sonya could make it to that fight within that time frame. She goes for the backdoor channel. Hanzo kites out, make sure it doesn't happen, and then B-Kid moving in, trying to delay, which is why you saw him get re-aggressive, is trying to zone off for Mike Udall. It's just cleverly done there on the side of No Tomorrow to get that punishment. And Gale Force, again, needing to find a way to hold, you know, kind of clean this up. It's insane how, you know, kind of lopsided the other way it is.
That engagement there, as Equinox literally poked his head through there. Wrath of the Berserker was popped, and he was met with a spear, and he just literally, it looked like a sad puppy running away. It's a dinosaur, though. You know, one thing in particular about this composition for Gale Force, Dread, that scares me a bit is simply the fact that they've lost bot lane control. And the fact that they only have Tychus as their only range damage dealer, it's much more hard or much more difficult to reclaim control of that lane. And I think that that's something that we'll see. They might have to force something elsewhere as they have here up at the top.
Dragon's Arrow worn just by Fury. Good job there. Even able to dodge that drag. Wasn't going to connect, but had the sidestep as a good measure. 60-second cooldown. Gale Force, they've got to want to. Oh man, 30 seconds out.
Michael Udall's in vision. He's standing in vision.
I mean,
oh,
I've seen Kenma make the same mistake before.
Ooh.
I mean, if you do remember, there is
on Dragonshire
yeah.
mid lane, yeah, and the Bermuda Triangle.
It's one of those can't forget kind of deals.
Yeah, you're not going to live that one down right there.
Yeah, nope.
He was fine, but he took like a half step to the left, and he was standing in vision. I don't know if he didn't, you know, the red eye above your head. You know, maybe it was hidden in the bush there. I don't
Listening
know.
to too much Beyonce, you know. To the left, if you want to be dead. You know, no tomorrow. They'll make it very easy here. As Garrosh is just, you know, tossing people left and right. Jin on the front line. Able to get 10-2 in terms of kills here. Very different case than what we saw in games 1 and 2. It's, man. My mind is still blown that this game could be this kind of staggered and lopsided in the opposite favor of No Tomorrow from what we saw in games 1 and 2 into this. We talked about consistency needing to be there for Gale Force Esports, and that No Tomorrow is never that team to kind of let up. It's just the manner and the fashion, how lopsided they are, is just so you know, kind of disproportionate. Great job there from Fury to use the minion to get away.
Odin's coming out, but I don't think they're going to get this fight. There's no way they even had a shot at that fight, right?
I mean, I would definitely argue so, yes. Unless you had a Holy Ground split, which not even an option, considering.
Boom, boom. That's the sound for Law and Order.
Yeah. I also want to say, I really disagree with the lack of Holy Ground even more so. I know I talk about that a lot, and the times and the places, and I know you go, well, you need more damage, Dread. Why do you kind of disagree with the Law and Order? I would argue the splitting somebody on this map at all, even one efficient split, the trade-off in resources is going to outweigh, you know, kind of the lack of damage made up for in all cases. When you have a, it's one of those moments where if you have so much CC and you lack in damage, it's actually funny enough, you just commit to more CC and it's going to trade to damage. Talking about the crowd control, it's going to be needed here on mid, even forced to use that Dragon Arrow. B-Kid eats a cleanse, then immediately a drag after. Can he get no sanctification option even available as he got interrupted? So
Jin right there, Dreadnought. Not only did he walk up, get into the fray, over to safety, then he kind of set up all that, and Equinox, the minute he got to safety, hit the big drag. And that kind of started things, but we also,
he's
that's
dead.
enough poison.
Good night.
Or is it?
Ancestral healing just to get the save. Mikey Doll will eventually go down as we saw the Apox sent from above. Big E gets 4 shots sent back to the core of No Tomorrow, sending it to 28, but
they're trying to even up kills all in one game. After the first 2 games, Gale Force just dominated. And now all of a sudden we've got No Tomorrow sitting up 28-8 in core health and 14-3 in terms of kills and up 2 full levels. This is scarily reminiscent of our Gale Force series last week where they had really strong showing in 2 games and then something happened in game 3. Obviously we've got a long way to go if we're going to even finish this game as well as even consider a reverse sweep, but game 3 looking very good for No Tomorrow.
I mean, we're sitting at 3-level leads in every game. You know, 2-3, 3-4, depending on which game you look at. And man, there's never been a wilder time, I feel like, to analyze competitive Heroes of the Storm than now, with how, you know, again, kind of teeter-tottery these results can be. Did you end up looking at the Fulcrum? No? I was going to make another lever reference. I just wanted to figure out if we had learned any more on our simple machines here.
They don't sound simple. Like a word like Fulcrum doesn't stand out to me as like a simple.
I mean, you're right. It doesn't sound too simple. I don't even know why I know, like, even that, honestly. One of those kind of, I'll never need to know this in my life, elementary school moments, and then turns out apparently I
Elementary
did.
school?
I think so, is where they taught me that.
I mean, they probably did to probably most people, and I'm just like,
Simple Kentucky man, just looking to make things happen.
We talk about cows and chickens.
We don't have either one of those. Well, I guess Malf might be a chicken. Hold up. Drag goes on to Mikey Doll. Taunt immediately after. Jin, though, maybe going to get punished. Indomitable gaining a lot of value through that. Ancestral healing lands. Dragon Arrow splits the members of Gale Force with a perfect dodge. Get the Trank, get the Odin. Shot's going to be moving in with those sappers on bottom, but not enough to end the game yet. This is the must-win moment for Gale Force, and they're down a lot of cooldown. Sanct is the only one that is left standing here.
It's even talent tiers for now. Gale Force, they're holding position. They're going to send Udall off to the right side. You just watch him on the minimap as we keep the action here. When he does finish that channel, we will have the re-engage here. And this was not necessarily the last stand. If Gale Force fully wipes here, Dread, and then we see a bell tower reclaimed for No Tomorrow, then it will be game over. So Gale Force has to tread lightly, but also be aggressive. They have to be very opportunistic here or back out. But then you have the boss, the whole thing. I mean, you don't want to get down to one shot.
There's enough win conditions that you just kind of go, yeah, let's just win this and leave it at that. Keep it short and sweet. Mike looking for a poison spear over the wall.
In a weird way, they need to be up near that top left area to soak that XP. I don't know if Tomster's in range. Might be, but Fury going in. The cleanse is going to be there. The burrow under. You can see the drag, the cleanse onto Michael Udall. The taunt's going to be here for Jin. He's getting back, but a Dragon Arrow hits all 5 people.
But that's Sank. They're going to turn it around. Jin seems to be the focus, getting overpowered over, getting the toss back. Casanova popping off, looking for the resets on that Genji. He is flowing like water as he goes back in and out. But that was only 2. Now, almost a 3rd reset. Akaface is going to deny that one. But once he goes down, 3-for-1 trade, Mike Udall is delaying the inevitable, and this looks like it's GG.
They can rotate up. They either just get this in boss or they rotate up and take a bell tower, whichever they want to do at this point. Biggie, I just don't think he's going to be able to do enough. No Tomorrow turning their attention towards the boss, Casanova. At this point, we're going to have to call him Bruce Lee. He once made it infamous, flow like water. And right there, the amount of, I mean, that's going to be a highlight right there when we see that.
Yeah, that was actually
like literally
disgusting.
Going in, out, in. I rarely ever, if ever, have seen that amount of resets on your Swift Strike without confirming a kill.
Yeah, no, that was a maximum value out of the 13 talent tier there for Genji. I feel like I've only seen that out of like SDE, maybe in, you know, kind of niche situations. Whenever he gets on the Genji, he can really abuse that flow like water talent, but that was clean from Casanova. And honestly, I would argue probably the only reason they were able to turn that last fight around is confidently. The game's still comfortably, you know, in control for No Tomorrow, but that one team fight moment, which it was just ridiculous. We actually, you know, we're just going to take another look at it. We do have that last replay of Casanova. Why don't you break it down here, J-Hal?
Yeah, the biggest thing is all members, and we can pause it right here. I mean, the whole thing is, and when we pause, I seem to have lost control, so let's run it forward.
So
yeah, the whole thing is just simply everybody's going to be in a line. And you can actually look, Casanova's on the backside, and once that Dragon Arrow comes in, that's where the fun starts. He gets one.
Wait for the Sanks, because he can't go back in. The minute the Sank drops with the X-Strike, look at that.
Just zig, zag, zig, zag.
If he had ended up getting that Swift Strike, the last one out onto any one of those people who actually could have been killed, that would have been another one immediately back in. That would have been like 5 to 6 Swift Strikes within just, you know, I feel it's like a matter of seconds here from Casanova on the Genji.
Well, I said he averaged 3.8 kills per game on Genji, which is a significantly high number. He had 9 kills that game, only 1 death. I'd say that's going to boost those numbers up a little bit, but he's scary on Genji, and you kind of wonder, like, where were we in the first few games in terms of composition? But this composition seemed to be No Tomorrow's magic formula to get back into the series.
It really was, you know, and it all started with a Maev ban, you know?
Hey!
That's one thing we got to remember is that this is the only game that Gale Force has been unable to play with Maev versus No Tomorrow. You highlighted, man, I feel like this is just playing exactly how we expected kind of in our minds. Granted, games 1 and 2 from Gale Force were so good that I just went, this isn't going to happen. Gale Force, this is the day where they end up getting a clean 3-0. They end up shutting out performing, you know, maybe at a level that they would expect out of themselves, that we've kind of, I don't know if we expect it anymore. If anything, this is what we've come to kind of expect, but man. And then No Tomorrow holding on whenever they need to. I feel like Game 4 is going to be the biggest thing. If the story continues, the trend continues forward, No Tomorrow will win this next game, and we go to Game 5, and that's when the coin toss happens. But if Gale Force recovers, can keep their composition, you know, keep their draft together, well together, mentally strong, and they come out and win this game in a dominant fashion like we got in games 1 and 2, I'd be like willing to be like, maybe this is a new leaf for Gale Force.
I'm super anxious. I know we normally have to wait for cues and all that stuff, but I'm super anxious to see the battle.